Do you ever catch a look in your dog's eyes that feels ancient? A flicker of understanding so profound it seems to come from another time, another place. If you felt that, you need to hear this: that moment was not an accident. You are witnessing a cosmic event scheduled more than 80 years ago by a man who charted the future in his sleep. His name was Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. Between 1910 and 1944, while in deep trance, he issued over 14,000 prophecies that came true with chilling precision. He saw the stock market crash of 29, the rise of global conflicts, even the digital web connecting all humanity long before a single computer was plugged in. But one of Cayce's most extraordinary prophecies was largely ignored, filed away as a curious footnote. Until now, a prophecy about the silent companions in our homes, about dogs. A prophecy that is activating right now, in your living room, across your street, and around the globe. In his visions, Cayce saw far beyond human history. He witnessed the spiritual evolution of the entire animal kingdom, running parallel to our own. And he made one thing crystal clear: among all creatures, the dogs occupy a place of unparalleled significance. When the world's frequency begins to shift, Cayce stated in a 1943 reading, these four-legged sentinels will activate. They will become living bridges, connecting our physical reality to the spiritual realm. They are master teachers in disguise, here for one mission: to teach humanity the meaning of pure, unconditional love. Cayce described dogs as biological compasses for the soul, beings hardwired to sense invisible energies, to anticipate our needs, and to heal us with their simple, silent presence. He saw them carrying latent abilities that humanity had long forgotten, set to re-emerge at a very specific turning point. And here's where it gets truly staggering. Cayce pinpointed the exact conditions for this mass canine awakening. He said the signs would become undeniable when humanity was gripped by interlocking global crises, viral pandemics, profound climate shifts, dizzying technological acceleration, and an inescapable, collective search for spiritual meaning. During one of his deepest trances, Cayce laid out a three-stage roadmap for this canine evolution. Stage 1, the ability to sense illness and foretell critical events. Stage 2, a form of direct, silent communication with their human partners. And Stage 3, the most potent of all, would see dogs transform into literal energy purifiers, able to absorb and neutralize emotional toxins from their environment. When the talking wires bind all mankind, Cayce dictated in 1944, in a clear vision of our internet age, the dogs will step into their true spiritual duty. They will cease to be mere pets. They will become our conscious allies in the great work of elevating the planet's soul. What elevates this from a fascinating prediction to a profound reality is that Cayce saw many of these dogs as advanced souls, deliberately choosing to be born as animals to stand by our side during this immense global shift. Beings of pure light, masquerading as our best friends. But this isn't about some distant science fiction future. Cayce was describing your life right now. The markers he outlined 8 decades ago are appearing with breathtaking speed. Dogs pinpointing diseases before any lab test. Pets offering comfort at the precise moment of silent despair, even across miles of separation. Animals who seem to be a calming presence in a chaotic home. Instances of what can only be called thought communication between a person and their dog. This is not a string of coincidences. It is the real-time manifestation of a sacred prophecy. The only question is, are you willing to see your dog for who they truly are? Because after you understand what Cayce truly saw, you will never be able to look at your loyal companion in the same way. The canine awakening is here, and if you're paying attention, it's already begun right under your own roof. In 1944, in one of his final and most vivid trance sessions, Edgar Cayce relayed a vision that silenced the room. His voice, altered by the depths of his state, it painted a picture of a future where dogs would play a role humanity could barely conceive of. I see the awakening of the four-legged sentinels. Cayce's voice echoed, sending a shiver through all who were present. As Earth ascends to a new vibration, dogs will become the conscious links between worlds. No longer just animals, but master teachers disguised, sent to remind humanity of love and the unseen connections that bind us all. That day, Casey's prophecy detailed 3 distinct waves of this canine awakening. The first wave, he said, would coincide with a mass spiritual seeking among humans, a period he pinpointed for the late 20th and early 21st centuries. In this stage, dogs would begin to demonstrate powerful energetic healing abilities, including the capacity to sense disease long before medical instruments could. The second wave would be even more astonishing. Casey envisioned dogs building direct telepathic bridges to their owners, acting on thoughts before a single word was uttered. They would appear at their human side at the exact moment of emotional need, as if directed by an unseen intelligence. The third and final wave, the most powerful, would reveal dogs as true energetic janitors. They would have the power to neutralize negative vibrations in homes, care facilities, and even directly in people processing deep emotional pain. Casey called this emotional alchemy, the power to transform suffering into peace by their sheer presence. What makes this prophecy so stunning is its context. This was 1944. The world was at war. Dogs were primarily tools for work, for security. The notion that they held spiritual or healing potential was, to the science of that day, utter fantasy. The prophet got even more specific. He saw that this awakening would touch all dogs, from purebreds to mutts, but that animals adopted from shelters or rescues would carry a particularly potent charge, as if the act of being saved unlocked a deeper layer of their sacred mission. During that same session, Casey delivered a revelation that left his audience breathless. Many dogs arriving in families during this era of awakening, he said, were in fact highly evolved souls who had chosen an animal incarnation to personally assist in humanity's transition. They were angels disguised as family pets. The prophecy also carried a solemn warning. Casey saw that not all people would be equipped to recognize this shift. Many would dismiss these profound new behaviors as simple quirks or instinct. But those who were on their own path of spiritual awareness would forge incredible, life-changing bonds with their canine partners. But the most chilling part of Casey's prophecy was its timing. He said the first clear signs would surface as humanity was forced to confront massive, global-scale challenges, pandemics, climate chaos, and explosive technological change. Exactly the world we are living in today. If you share your home with a dog, you've likely noticed small but significant shifts in recent years. Perhaps they've become your shadow, staying closer than ever. Maybe they grow restless just moments before you walk in the door, or seem unusually sensitive to certain places or people. These are not random quirks. They are the first ripples of Casey's prophecy arriving in your life. Beginning in the 2000s, veterinarians globally started reporting a curious pattern. Dogs that were once predictable began exhibiting levels of intuition that defied all scientific logic. Dr. Alistair Finch, a veterinarian specializing in animal behavior, chronicled over 200 cases of dogs displaying what he termed prescient caretaking, the ability to anticipate their owner's needs before the owner was even aware of them. One of the most remarkable cases involved David Miller, a 52-year-old from Texas, and his beagle Leo. David began to notice Leo would physically block him from eating certain snacks, nudging the food away with his nose or placing a paw on his hand. At first, David found it amusing, but it happened with such consistency with specific foods that he mentioned it to his doctor. Allergy testing revealed David had developed adult-onset sensitivities to those exact ingredients. It was like he was my personal dietitian, David recalls. The days Leo stopped me were days I would have felt terrible. I realized he wasn't being pushy, he was being my guardian. But the signs extended beyond physical health. Researchers at a prominent California university began documenting dogs who could detect emotional shifts with incredible precision. Not just obvious sadness, but the subtle undercurrents of anxiety, stress, or a looming depressive episode. The story of Maya, a 3-year-old border collie, went viral after her owner Jessica shared videos of Maya consistently bringing her a specific weighted blanket moments before Jessica would feel a panic attack coming on, without any external signs. Shelters also observed a startling change. Dogs once deemed unadoptable began forming immediate, magnetic connections with certain visitors. It was as though they were picking their person, not the other way around. Marco Vega, a shelter director, recounts, "We saw it time and again. The dogs seemed to know who was hurting. They'd walk right past a dozen people and sit at the feet of someone who just lost a loved one or was going through a health crisis. It's like they have a built-in radar for who needs unconditional love right now." Another undeniable sign was the massive surge in certified assistance dogs worldwide. Between 2010 and 2020, the registration for emotional support dogs skyrocketed by over 400%. What astonished trainers was that many of these dogs started demonstrating profound therapeutic skills instinctively long before formal training. Hospitals reported therapy dogs who would bypass cheerful patients and walk directly to the bedside of those facing the most critical struggles. Nurses began to trust this canine intuition as another tool to identify patients who needed extra emotional care. Animal behavior centers documented dogs reacting to natural disasters with much greater lead times. Where once a dog might get anxious an hour before an earthquake, there are now credible reports of dogs alerting their families a full day or more in advance. The most compelling aspect of these first signs is how universal they are. It doesn't matter the breed, the age, or where the dog came from. These special abilities are emerging everywhere. From pampered poodles in city high rises to rugged mutts on country farms. It's as if they are all responding to the same silent, global wake-up call. And this was just the beginning. The signs that emerged in the 2000s were merely the first wave of the prophecy. What was coming next was even more extraordinary. Imagine walking into your home after an exhausting, stressful day and feeling that heavy weight on your shoulders simply dissolve the moment your dog greets you. This is not just your imagination at work. It is the manifestation of a powerful skill. Dogs are rapidly mastering the ability to act as literal energetic purifiers. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, a Cambridge biologist and researcher into unexplained phenomena, has dedicated over a decade to studying canine abilities that science struggles to explain. His research reveals that dogs all over the world are developing a powerful sensitivity to detect and actively clear negative energy from places and people. One of the most well-documented cases involved the Chen family in Vancouver. After a bitter family conflict, a palpable tension lingered in their home. The family members felt irritable and drained. Their rescue dog, a terrier mix named Scout, started a strange new routine. Every evening, he would lie down in the exact spot in the living room where the worst arguments had happened. He would sigh heavily, stretch, and sometimes yawn repeatedly. Scout was doing a kind of therapy on the house, says Mrs. Chen. He would lie in that spot for maybe an hour, sometimes letting out these deep, guttural sighs. Afterwards, he'd shake his entire body as if dusting himself off. The amazing thing is, after he started doing this, the whole house felt lighter. The family invited a feng shui practitioner to assess the home, who confirmed a significant, stagnant energy blockage in the exact location Scout had chosen for his ritual. After a few weeks of Scout's work, the practitioner returned and confirmed the energy had become clear and flowing. Hospitals and hospices have also noted this with therapy dogs. Nurses have shared stories of specific dogs who will refuse to enter a patient's room if the emotional energy is too heavy. Once they do enter, after perhaps a spiritual clearing by staff, the patients in those rooms report a dramatic uplift in their mood and outlook. Holistic healers are now beginning to partner with these gifted dogs. During energy work like Reiki or acupuncture, some dogs have shown an ability to physically absorb the negative energy being released by the client. They then discharge it by shaking, yawning, or even digging in the yard. Sarah, a trauma therapist, has a golden retriever named Bodhi who assists in her sessions. Bodhi lies at the client's feet. When we touch upon a deep trauma, I can see him physically tremble, as if he's processing the energetic release. Then he'll get up, go drink a bowl of water, shake vigorously, and come back totally at peace. Homes that have witnessed intense grief or arguments report their dogs spontaneously undertaking these cleansing behaviors. They systematically move through the house, pausing in places of conflict, and seeming to absorb and transmute the emotional residue. Some dogs have even developed the ability to neutralize negative energy through their touch. Accounts of people feeling an instantaneous wave of calm after being touched by a specific dog have exploded in recent years. It's not just a comforting pat, people report. It feels like an active energy transfer. The story of a rescued pit bull named Gus, adopted by a veteran named Mark, is a perfect example. Whenever another veteran struggling with PTSD would visit, Gus would walk over, sit, and gently place his head on the person's knee. Every single visitor reported feeling a sudden and profound sense of peace. Gus has a built-in sensor for who's in pain, Mark says. He's never wrong. And the amazing part is that after Gus gives his treatment, they leave looking years younger, like a weight has been lifted. The canine spiritual evolution doesn't stop at energy cleansing. Many dogs are now developing the ability to shield their homes and families from negative outside influences. They seem to sense when someone with harmful intentions is nearby, creating an almost palpable energetic barrier around their home. The internet is filled daily with viral videos of dogs performing what seem like impossible feats. Dogs materializing to shield children from traffic, pets waking families moments before a house fire starts, animals finding lost people in circumstances that defy all known science. These are not random acts of luck. They are the third wave of Casey's prophecy, gaining momentum all around us. A case that captivated the world happened in April 2023 in a small town in Oregon. A 2-year-old mutt named Piper, who had never been a barker, suddenly began a frantic, desperate barking in the middle of the night, clawing at her owner's door. The family, annoyed, let her out, but instead of going to the yard, Piper ran to the garage and barked at the family car. Confused, the father went to check and was overwhelmed by the smell of gas. A fuel line had cracked and was leaking gasoline right below the home's main electrical panel. Firefighters said a single spark would have caused a catastrophic explosion. Piper had never once shown interest in the garage, her owner said. It was like she was downloaded a mission briefing in her sleep. Now tell me in the comments, has your dog ever done something that left you in total awe? An act of protection or rescue that you just can't explain? Dr. James Serpell, director of the Center for the Interaction of Animals and Society, has been gathering these accounts for years. His database contains over 1,500 documented cases of dogs saving human lives in ways that modern science cannot yet account for. What we're seeing is beyond standard protective instincts, Dr. Serpell explains. These dogs are demonstrating a form of precognition. They seem to know an event will occur before there are any physical clues. It's as if they're tapping into a stream of information from the future. The phenomenon becomes even more profound when you see dogs saving total strangers. In January 2024, a Labrador named Buddy bolted from his yard and ran 4 blocks to a frozen pond. He began barking incessantly at 2 kids who were about to step onto the ice. Moments after the kids' parents pulled them back, the exact spot where they were about to step collapsed into the frigid water. Buddy never leaves our yard, his owner stated, and there's no way he could have known the ice was thin from that distance. It was like he was on assignment from a higher authority. Before we go on, I want to invite you to the Quantum Thinking Challenge, a 21-day program to rewire your mindset, elevate your vibration, and unlock your own energetic power. For 3 weeks, you'll get daily practices to transform your frequency and begin manifesting the life you desire. You can access it in the top pinned comment. Now, just imagine for a moment you're thinking of calling it a day at work, and your dog, miles away, is already getting up to wait by the door. Or your pet comes and nudges your hand right at the moment a sad memory crosses your mind. Even though your face shows nothing, this is not fantasy. This is real telepathic communication unfolding between you and your dog. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake conducted the largest study ever on animal telepathy. For over 10 years, he gathered over 4,000 cases of dogs that seemed to read their owners' minds and intentions at a distance. The findings were so revolutionary, they sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Sheldrake's most iconic experiment was with a terrier named Max, who unfailingly knew when his owner, Jane, was on her way home. The remarkable part is that Jane worked flexible hours and used different routes and transport daily. Video cameras in the house proved that Max would go to the window and wait at the exact moment Jane made the decision to head home. Not when she physically started moving, but at the moment the thought it's time to go home crystallized in her mind. We documented Max for 2 years straight. Sheldrake reported, "It didn't matter if Jane came by taxi bus or got a ride with a friend. It didn't matter if she left early or late. Max always knew the precise moment she formed the intention to return." This telepathic link isn't just about detecting emotions. Dogs are now showing they can respond to direct mental commands. A dog trainer in Florida, Elena Cortez, created an experimental workshop to test this. I had the owners simply visualize their dog performing a command, like lie down or bring the toy, Elena says. The results were stunning. With zero verbal or hand signals, the dogs complied with the mental commands with an over 70% success rate. The most mind-bending part of canine telepathy is that it seems to ignore distance entirely. US military families have shared hundreds of stories of their dogs at home, reacting to dangers faced by their soldier owners thousands of miles away. Sergeant Mark Riley, a veteran of Afghanistan, reported that his dog, a shepherd mix named Duke, who was back in Colorado, would have episodes of extreme anxiety and whining on the exact days his platoon came under fire. "My wife started keeping a log of Duke's bad days," Mark said. "When I got home and we compared her log to my combat journal, the dates matched perfectly. He was feeling what I was feeling from half a world away." Neuroscientists are now exploring the brain mechanisms behind this. Using simultaneous fMRI scans on dogs and their owners, they have found startling patterns of brainwave synchronization, suggesting a type of non-local connection. "We are observing brain regions in the dog and their owner light up in perfect sync, even when they are in separate, soundproofed rooms," explains Dr. Kenji Tanaka, lead scientist on the study. "It's as if they share a private, invisible network that allows for information transfer. This silent communication even extends to our dreams. Countless people report having vivid dreams in which their dog appears, delivering a message or a warning that turns out to be relevant to a real life situation. Have you ever stopped to wonder why this global canine awakening is happening right now? Why dogs across the planet are suddenly unlocking abilities that would have been dismissed as fantasy just a generation ago? The answer lies in something far bigger than we can see, a vibrational shift of the entire planet, which Edgar Cayce predicted with startling accuracy. According to Cayce's trances, the Earth was destined to enter a new evolutionary stage in the early 21st century, a period defined by a rapid acceleration of collective human consciousness. He called this the Great Awakening, a time when both people and animals would activate latent spiritual gifts to help navigate the intense changes of a planetary transition. When humanity is tested by its greatest trials, Cayce said in 1943, the four-legged guardians will awaken to guide and comfort them through the passage to a new earth. They will be the living anchors of unconditional love in an age of upheaval. Dr. David Hawkins, a renowned psychiatrist and consciousness researcher, created a scale mapping the energetic vibration of human consciousness. His data shows that since the year 2000, humanity's collective consciousness has been taking unprecedented leaps, jumping from levels of fear and survival toward awakening at a rate that would historically take centuries. We are in a real-time evolution of consciousness, Dr. Hawkins wrote, and animals, especially our canine companions, are responding to this energetic tide by activating abilities that link them more profoundly to the human soul. The timing is impossible to miss. The first massive wave of documented special canine abilities began right after 2001, precisely when humanity faced one of its biggest collective traumas. It's as if dogs received a cosmic signal to begin their mission of spiritual first response. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute found that major global events, especially traumatic ones, create measurable electromagnetic waves in the Earth's magnetic field. These waves don't just affect human emotion, they trigger evolutionary adaptations in domesticated animals, especially those with strong emotional ties to us. Dogs are living receptors for these planetary energetic shifts, explains Dr. Rollin McCraty, HeartMath's director of research. They are literally responding to frequencies that our science is just beginning to measure. The 2020 pandemic became another massive catalyst for the canine awakening. Vets everywhere reported a tidal wave of unusual dog behaviors during the lockdown period. Animals who were previously unremarkable began exhibiting profound empathy, energetic healing, and even apparent precognition. It was like the collective emotional storm of the pandemic switched on a dormant gene in dogs, says Dr. Chloe Dubois, a behavioral veterinarian from Paris. I saw more cases of psychic-like behavior in those 2 years than in the previous 2 decades of my practice. This isn't just about trauma. Moments of global unity, mass meditations, and worldwide spiritual movements also create energy waves that dogs tune into. During major astrological events like solar eclipses or harmonic convergences, research centers have documented spikes in telepathic and healing behaviors in dogs across the globe. Quantum physicists have started to theorize that dogs may be plugged into what is called the collective morphogenetic field, a non-local web of information that connects all consciousness on the planet. As we humanity raise our vibration, dogs automatically recalibrate to these new, higher frequencies. Dogs have always been sensitive, explains quantum physicist Dr. Amit Goswami, but as human consciousness expands, they are now tapping into levels of quantum information that allows them to be a bridge between realities. Our digital era also plays a role. The very technology connecting billions of human minds is creating a planetary noosphere, an electromagnetic field that amplifies the natural psychic abilities of dogs. They are literally surfing the waves of our global conversation. Spiritual centers worldwide have noted their resident dogs displaying behaviors that sync with global meditation events. During events like Earth Hour or Global Peace Vigils, these animals will often spontaneously settle into a deep, calm state. All dogs are living barometers of planetary consciousness, says Brother Michael from a monastery in New Mexico. When humanity unites with positive intent, our canine friends respond instantly, radiating a peace that magnifies the collective field. Astrologers point out that we are in what ancient traditions call the Age of Transition, a time when the very consciousness of the planet is being reborn, and dogs, as beings in tune with natural cosmic cycles, are here to serve as catalysts for this shift. Dogs are the first receivers for the new frequencies bathing the planet, explains astrologer Maria Rossi. They are modeling for us what the next stage of evolution looks like: more intuitive, more empathic, more connected. The planet's environmental challenges have also seemingly activated a collective preservation instinct in dogs. They seem to know, on a soul level, that their evolution is tied to ours. Evolutionary biologists have a term for this: accelerated symbiotic evolution. This is where two species, under extreme pressure, rapidly co-evolve traits that support each other's survival. Dogs are evolving to be our conscious partners through these global challenges, states evolutionary theorist Dr. Lena Petrov. They are developing the exact skills we need to survive intuition, healing, advanced warning, and the emotional resilience to navigate this critical chapter of human history. The canine awakening is not a random, isolated event. It is a key part of a cosmic symphony preparing us for a new reality. Dogs have consciously accepted the role of guides and healers for this great transition. This is why you feel like your dog chose you, why they feel like more than a pet. Because they are. They are our active partners in one of the most significant transformations the Earth has ever known. Edgar Cayce's prophecy wasn't a warning about the future, it was a user's manual for the present. Right now, at this very moment, millions of dogs across the planet are operating as conscious spiritual guides, energetic healers, and guardians for humanity. The question is no longer if this is happening. The question is, what will you do now that you know? If you have a dog, you must understand that they are likely far more than you've allowed yourself to believe. Recent surveys suggest over 70% of dog owners have witnessed at least one special ability in their pet, which they initially brushed off as a fluke. Learning to recognize and actively encourage these gifts can revolutionize your relationship and open channels of communication you never dreamed were possible. The first step is to become a sacred observer. Start keeping a log of wonder. When does your dog appear at your side just as you're feeling down, even when you're in a different room? When do they get agitated just before an unexpected person shows up? Do they ever show a persistent interest in one part of your body that later feels sore or turns out to be a problem? These are not coincidences. They are data points of an awakening spirit. Dr. Alistair Finch, the animal behaviorist, recommends a simple protocol to test this connection. Try calling your dog mentally from another room. See if they respond. When you're feeling a strong emotion, try to hide it and watch to see if they react to your inner state rather than your outer appearance. These are clear signs of an active telepathic link. To nurture these gifts, carve out daily moments of pure, silent connection. Just sit with your dog for 10 or 15 minutes a day. Look into their eyes gently and mentally project feelings of gratitude and love. Thousands of owners report that this simple, heartfelt practice unlocks astounding levels of communication. For those of you who don't yet have a dog, be ready. An animal with a specific spiritual mission, for you may soon cross your path. These mission dogs often choose their families through incredible synchronicities. They appear when you need them most, create an instant, soul-deep bond, or arrive through circumstances that feel divinely orchestrated. Entirely new fields of work are emerging from this new reality. Animal communicators who act as translators, human canine energetic healers, and telepathic training coaches are seeing a surge in demand. Technology is starting to catch up. Apps are being developed to track energetic coherence between a person and their pet, and platforms are emerging to connect owners of dogs who share similar powerful abilities. Your dog may be one of those master teachers that Cayce saw in his visions, a being of light disguised as your furry friend. And you might be one of the people chosen to partner with them in a transformation that is rewriting what it means to be alive on a planet that is waking up.